Hi, everyone. This is Lenny from Andersonville in Chicago on Indivisible, Illinois, Virus Free Voting, Illinois live stream. It's another Thursday. We are 12 days out from this election and we are so excited. We're getting out the vote. We already know that tens of millions of people, how many people have actually voted across the nation? Millions of people actually voted in Illinois already, which is super exciting. We could put those numbers into the chat. Almost 4 years ago, I remember I was not politically active. After the 2016 elections, I decided to do something, marched with Women's March in DC, came back, found Indivisible, realized that somebody in government represents me, looked them up, and discovered that my representatives were incredible in Andersonville. I have Senator Heather Staines. I just heard from my state rep, Kelly Cassidy, and her friends, Maggie Trevor, and others who are running in the suburbs right now. But also at the federal level, I had Rep. Jan Schakowsky, Senator Durbin, and Senator Tammy Duckworth. It has been quite a ride. We are only 12 days out until the elections, and we are getting out the vote. We're getting out the vote not only in Wisconsin, not only in Michigan, in the Midwest, but in key Senate districts, in key Senate states. And also, we know that all politics is local. So we are looking into Chicago, where I'm from, and finding out from others who are working across the city to find out where the most underserved communities are, including Metropolitan Family Services and Communities Partnering for Peace, because we are working our activism through a lens of equity. So I'm really happy to have 3 guest speakers with us at the beginning of this call. We also have a break later on during our phone bank with our friend Helen Money from Indivisible, Illinois 9th District. And we always have on Thursdays an update from Wisconsin voter protection team, the Wisconsin Dems. And as usual, I want to shout out to Rose Colacino, who's our Indivisible Illinois 2020 coordinator, who's incredible. So first up, we have Jaquie Algee. Jaquie Algee is the amazing person that I know, who's been a lifeline to us, especially as we were fighting to protect our healthcare. We are going to have to do that again and again and again and again. Moving forward, she is with SEIU Illinois and also Women's March Chicago, the president. And we are so proud to have you here, Jaquie. After we hear from Jaquie, we're going to hear from Daniel Biss, our partner in all things, especially with the fair tax advocate. After Daniel Biss, we are going to hear from my Congressperson, Jan Schakowsky. But first up, Jaquie. Jaquie Algee, take it.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Lenny. Hello, hello, hello. It's so good to see your beautiful faces. Hey, Jan, all love to you. Yeah, so I'm Jaquie Algee, and I am Vice President and Director of External Relations for SEIU Healthcare, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, and Missouri. In addition to that, I am also proud president of Women's March Chicago. We just celebrated or had our Zoom event on this past weekend, which was quite amazing. But I'm also a resident of the Roseland community, one of the forgotten communities in this city. It seems forgotten because if you have been here as long as my family has, which is 46 years, and knew it to be a community of predominantly Black and brown residents who worked in factories and steel mills and corporations, and lived what we classify, I would say, as somewhat middle-class lifestyle. They had decent homes. They had active and fluid communities, business districts, Their kids were in school and going to school. They drove cars. They took vacations. And they lived what we classify again as the middle class lifestyle in America. And then, corporations closed, they moved out of the country, steel mills closed, they moved out of the country. I happen to have worked for Southworks, U.S. Steel Southworks, and helped to head their HR department at the time, and helped to put the padlocks on the gate when we closed. And I can't tell you what a feeling that was. The thousands of people who lost jobs and never, ever recovered. And a good amount of those people lived on the South Side and in the Roseland community. And so it's never recovered. It has not recovered from that. But hopefully through the work that we're doing tonight, phone banking and the numbers that seem to be really rising in terms of getting out the vote, we're on the path to changing that. I'm so honored to be here with my sister Jan, because she's one of the persons that I know. I have no doubt that every time she steps on the floor, she's stepping on that floor for all of us. So, I trust that. I'm also honored to be with Daniel Biss, who was, even though I didn't live in his district, I considered him my senator. He is one of the persons that always stood on the side of right. And he's going to talk more about that as he talks about the fair tax. But some of the things that we've been doing for SEIU, especially in particular about healthcare, we have safety net hospitals around this city who, again, they're products of pre-existing condition, and that's called racism. It shows up throughout the whole, if you look at the hospitals and like Roseland, for example, and St. Bernard and Loretto and Jackson Park, and the list goes on. And now there's a real threat to close Mercy and Providence. Now I have a soft spot for Providence because that happened to be my birthplace. And even if it weren't, it serves the community that desperately needs it to remain there, right? And then Mercy is another hospital that desperately needs to stay as well, because it provides prenatal and postnatal care for women, especially brown and Black women, who without that facility might be in, not only them in harm's way, but their unborn and newly born children, babies, in harm's way as well, because they don't have the care that they deserve and should get. And so SEIU has been working with other partners. We have a newly formed coalition called Chicago Healthcare Equity Coalition, and we've been working to help to keep Mercy and Providence open. But also, in addition to that, is to help to make sure that the funding that comes through the state and the federal government will come to those hospitals and facilities to help them to be stronger, and not to take them away or remove them and the services and care that they provide to those communities. Because I heard a young woman say yesterday, being interviewed, that if Mercy had not been there, she doesn't know what she would have done. When she was pregnant, she needed prenatal care, and she wouldn't have had any place else to go. And the outcome of her childbirth could have really been bad. So we don't want, that's the story we don't want told. Not just at Mercy, but throughout our city, right? And throughout our state for sure. But in communities like Roseland and others, where, we seem to have been forgotten, we need to be remembered. And we know that people know how to do the right thing, our governor and our mayor, came forth at the beginning of COVID when, everybody was scrambling, trying to make sure that we did the right thing so that people could be taken care of. We transformed the McCormick Place into a health facility, and that was the right thing to do. But if we can do the right thing in that circumstance, we should be able to do the right thing as it pertains to the health and welfare of our Black and Brown and all of our communities, as far as I'm concerned. Women's March, Chicago. We did not have a formal march as we've had in the past. We started in 2017. We lit up the city with so many of you that are faces I'm looking at. If you hadn't have been there and been a part of it, I see you smiling, Holly. It was amazing, and we know that. And we've had 4 years of amazing marches, right? And we decided, because of COVID, that we would not march, just out of concern and respect for people, right? But what we would do was a Zoom. And it was amazing. Did anybody get a chance to watch it? We got a few. Okay, great. I was proud of how it turned out, and the numbers show that other people were as well. And in addition to that, we did a live feed from Phalanx Family Services, which is a Roseland staple. It's been in the community for years and providing all kinds of services, training, etc. And we just, we did live feed back and forth. We registered people to vote. We had vendors and community partners that were out there giving some amazing information. We had League of Women Voters out there telling people how to vote, where to go, and because so many things have changed. And it was just a great day. It really was a great day. So it gave people an option. You could watch it on Zoom, in the comfort of your home or wherever you wanted to be, or you could have come out and been in the crowd. But it was a really good day. And there were other marches around the city, as you know, and around the state as well, the country. And why? Because we are determined that after November 3rd, that's one thing we won't have to do. Now we'll have to figure out what to do from there. But we'll be done with that. And you all know what I mean. Okay. So it gives me much pride to introduce Daniel Biss. I'm looking at Daniel's biography, and it's certainly too long for me to go through. I probably have gone over my time as it is, but I just wanted to note a couple of things about Daniel. It was interesting that it says he's an American mathematician. What is an American mathematician, Daniel? I'd like to hear that. But you're also a politician, and I don't think we've seen the last of you, and I hope we haven't. But as I said at the beginning, you have always stood on the side of right. For me, fair tax, I have people at SEIU and Women's March Chicago and anybody else that'll listen to me. Fair tax has consumed me. It's taken over my life. It's become my other job, right? And I'm proud to say that because I believe in it. I believe that it should be passed. It should never have been this way, but it certainly should be changed, and it's not right, and we need to do the right thing. And so I'm eager to hear what Daniel has to say. I will just as a final note, I put in the chat a link to fair tax white paper that I helped to author. And it's an interesting piece, but one of the things it has information that hopefully you could use or just find of interest to read about. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Biss. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaquie. You're right. When I was in the legislature, Jaquie, you were not living in my district, but I always saw you as my moral compass. It was an incredible joy to work with that kind of brilliant, fierce, effective advocate for a whole lot of people who frankly don't have nearly enough advocates working on their behalf in our government today. So thank you so much. It's I miss you. It's been a long pandemic, hasn't it? Um, you know, I think back to the beginning of the Indivisible movement, shortly after the 2016 election, and everybody in the whole world was impressed. But the question that everyone was asking was, well, okay, are y'all going to be able to sustain this for 4 years? And I just think it's such a point of pride, and it's such a wonderful statement about the devotion of the people who are doing this work, that here we are on the eve of, practically on the doorstep of the 2020 election, and this movement has done nothing but grow and mature, become more sophisticated, become more effective. It was tremendously instrumental in the blue wave that allowed us to take back the House in 2018. If that hadn't happened, God knows where we'd be right now. And obviously is instrumental in this election that's coming up in just 12 days. So I want to speak quickly because I really hate to stand between people in phone banking time. So I'm gonna be quick. But as we prepare to take what might be the most important vote at the federal level of our lifetimes, the vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and to get Donald Trump out of office, I believe sincerely that we also get to take what might be the most important state level vote of our lifetimes. And that's the vote for the fair tax. And I say that because it's a vote to correct a mistake that has been in the Constitution, making it impossible for us to do the right thing for 50 years. For the last 50 years since 1970, this constitutional provision has been essentially a set of handcuffs stopping our state legislators from doing the right thing. And the perfect example is what's happening right now during the pandemic, where we have economically, as a result of all the lockdowns, we have huge pain that people are going through. Unemployment is through the roof. People are suffering. People having trouble trying to figure out if they're going to be able to retain their homes, be able to eat. There's real suffering happening. And yet the wealthiest have gotten much wealthier. Millionaires and billionaires are doing better today than they were doing the day before the pandemic began. On top of that, obviously revenues to the state government are down because people are out of work, so they're paying less income tax, and people have less money to spend and less ability to go out and spend it, so they're paying less sales tax. So the state government has less money. Lots of more people are in need. The people at the very top are doing way better. Any sensible person would say, in that situation, ask the people at the top to pay a little bit more to fund a government that provides for everybody else. That's just what the moment calls for. Well, the bad news is that's unconstitutional. We can't even ask our legislators to go and do that because the Constitution says it's illegal to ask the wealthy to pay a higher tax rate than anybody else. That's just Illinois. That's not what most states do. It's not what Wisconsin or Iowa or Missouri or Kentucky's or Indiana's constitutions say. In fact, in Wisconsin and Iowa, the wealthy pay a higher tax rate. They do in Missouri also. But the Illinois Constitution has made that impossible, and we have the opportunity to vote for the fair tax and remove that error and fix a 50-year mistake. If we pass that referendum, then we'll get a new tax system in place on January 1st, which will be a tax break for every household making under $250,000 a year. For 97% of households, you'll be paying less. The top 3%, the folks who are doing so much better in this moment, they'll pay a little bit more, but honestly, not even that much more. They'll pay pretty much what they'd be paying in Wisconsin or Iowa anyhow. And our state government will get $3.5 billion that it needs very badly. So those are the basic facts. And again, I don't want to belabor this, but the bottom line is we have this weird thing in our Constitution that almost no other state, including none of our neighbors, have. It stops us from asking the rich to pay their share. We can vote yes for the fair tax, remove that error, and ask the top 3% to pay a little bit more to fund a government that provides for the rest of us. And I just want to end by saying that those facts are pretty persuasive to most people. And so the opponents aren't arguing about that stuff. They're arguing about everything else in the whole world. They're arguing about all kinds of things that are not on the ballot because what's on the ballot is popular. And so I would say that as we're out there doing this phone bank, urging people to vote, make sure that folks who are on our side of the issues know they should vote yes for the fair tax. There are tens of millions of dollars being spent by the richest people in Illinois to lie to the public and confuse and frighten people. And we have to get the word out that this is about taxing the people at the very top to pay for a government that works. It would lower taxes on the middle class. It would not tax retirement income. It would just ask the people who are doing so well they can afford it to pay a little bit more and fund our government. So thanks for letting me give this little commercial. I think this is a critical vote. The future of Illinois, I think, is in some respects really on the line. So thank you for the incredibly critical work you're doing. Thank you for the work you're doing for our federal ticket, for state and local candidates, and vote yes for the fair tax. And with that, obviously Jan Schakowsky doesn't need an introduction, but I got asked to introduce her. There's people in Congress who are on the wrong side of all the issues, and there are people in Congress who are on the right side of some of the issues, and there are people in Congress who are on the right side of all the issues but kind of phone it in. And then there's Jan Schakowsky, who's on the right side of all of the issues and just works her tail off every single day to find creative, strategic ways to get things done that other people wouldn't have thought of. It's a weird world in DC, but I do sleep better every single night knowing that my Congresswoman in the US Capitol is our friend, Jan Schakowsky. Jan, it's all yours.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Jackie. Two people I love so much. Thank you for highlighting the communities that you're going to be calling tonight, Jackie. And thank you so much, Daniel. I voted today. Right at the top of the ballot, there it is. Easy to vote yes for the fair tax. If you end up talking to any senior citizens, there's been some lies out there that somehow seniors are going to be taxed for their retirement income. That is total BS. It is untrue. It's a lie. So if anybody says, oh no, I heard I'm going to get taxed on my retirement, it's just not true. So make sure you correct it. So Indivisible and Lenny, I just want to thank you. This is the moment we've been working for all 4 years. From the minute that Indivisible was formed, leaders like Lenny and so many of you just started and Lenny for the first time. She said she wasn't political before. And this is the moment now. We're here. And this is the time of the election I actually like the best. We're the closers. We make it happen in the next 12 days. We make this happen because this is turnout. And the calls that you're going to be making tonight are absolutely critical. And I'm really, Lenny was talking about all the different phone banking that you've done all over the country. But it is really important that we touch the communities that are going to benefit the most from the change that we see. Absolutely the most. Donald Trump is the most dangerous man, the most dangerous human being on the planet right now. And of course, this is the most important election of our lifetime. But now it is really, really in our hands. It's up to us. Are we going to make this happen? Because the only thing that matters now, don't get caught, even if you get to see the debate tonight, don't stress over, oh, Joe should have said this, and can you believe what Donald said? And he's such a jerk. None of that matters now. It's about turnout. So don't get yourself all angst over, the stuff that doesn't matter. And the stuff that matters is what we know how to do. We've done it many times before. Fortunately, we fell prey to the polls the last time. And we made the terrible mistake of complacency. And now it's obvious that that's not happening. And you are a big part of this. I honestly cannot thank you enough. What you're doing tonight is the most important thing any person could do in the whole world. Getting out, helping to get out the vote. This is it. I mean, you get real points to go to heaven for what you're doing tonight to make sure that we turn out our voters. So this is it for us. Everything that you've done has led up to this moment. You've done the most magnificent work. Indivisible has been an amazing, powerful force. And so I really don't want to keep you any longer. from getting to work to make these calls. As I said, the people, what this pandemic has exposed is all the disparities that we have. You're going to be calling people who have been victims for their whole lives, as you know, Jackie's talked about, of these disparities. But it can end. It can end when we elect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Those things, we can usher in truly the most progressive era in recent history of the United States of America. We can change it all. So this phone bank is this important step on that road. So thank you. I'm going to end there so that you can get on the phone and change the world.
I want to thank my Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky for joining us today. I really appreciate your words. Jaquie Algee from Women's March, Daniel Biss, Fair Tax, and yes, it is all about what you're doing now. We know on this call that we voted. I hope many of you have already voted, but it's not just about voting. It's more than voting. It's getting engaged and making those connections in those communities and bridge building. And it's not just this election, it's the next election after that and the next election after that. But we start now and we start here. And so I thank you, Jan Schakowsky, Jaquie Algee, Daniel Biss, and sending you a lot of love. Carrie, how are you doing? We're so excited. We're ready to finish up the training and get on those phones. What do we have to do?
Great. Okay. So anybody who's a seasoned phone banker, you know who you are. Mute yourself, leave audio, and get started. I can't wait to look at the numbers at the end. If you are, Lori, did you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to say for people who are seasoned phone bankers, we're doing doodle while you dial. So you don't have to just make marks of how many calls. You can do art while you're dialing, and you can submit it to our art project, and I'll put it in the chat. Okay, Carrie, go.
Well, that sounds great. If you are seasoned, go ahead and leave, and please start making your calls. If you were able to get the turbo vote phone call system working, fabulous. If not, don't worry about it, because it's only going to save a few number of calls for the time that we have tonight. If you are new, couple of technical things. We're sending everybody to chicagoelections.gov. I will put that into the chat box. We are not leaving voice messages. We will capture people again on other cycles. So let it ring for 7 to 8 minutes and then move on. You know how to mark it, move, deceased, not home. When it comes to disconnects, there are several different things that could be disconnects. If it says a temporary disconnect, then we are marking that as not home on the off chance that we catch them. Maybe they pay their phone bill and then we catch them in another cycle. So not working number, no longer available. This number is no longer with Verizon. All those things would be disconnects. I want to make sure I'll put the notes in the side about whether or not someone has voting rights as it relates to serving jail time. I will put the notes to the side there, because we want to make sure there's no confusion there, that if you are not serving your time, if you've completed your time, if you're on parole and probation, you are still eligible to vote. But the main goal tonight is to be authentic and to help them make a plan. I love to make sure that people know we're a democratic grassroots organization, so they know we're with the good guys on the right side of history, and it takes the edge off right away. I love to ask them, have they decided which one of the 3 ways that we vote in Illinois are they voting? Are they voting by mail? Are they voting early? Or are they going to wait till election day? And then make a connection, however that works for you, however you can help them vote. We'll jump through any hoops, whether we need to print them off a vote by mail application, if I need to send them a stamped envelope to get it to Chicago Board of Elections, or if we need to drop it off in person. You can chat on the side and then capture their contact information, and I will make sure that they get what they need. you will start running into people who've already voted. And that's a perfect segue of, then you know how important this was. You saw the ballot. Why don't you join us at Indivisible? Grab their name, their phone number, or their email address and send it to me, and I will call them personally and get them roped into Indivisible. So I'm going to put a few other things in the chat, but I won't go any further so that everybody can get started. Lenny, when are we coming back on so that we can hear Helen serenade us as we are saving democracy?
Let's say around 7:15. We'll check in. Maybe we'll see if somebody wants to share a story, and then we'll take a musical break around 7:15. How's that sound?
Good luck, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Can't wait to hear about everybody's success. Hey, Karen.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, but I guess I didn't know where I was supposed to go.
No
What I
worries.
was
I'm
supposed
going to put the link. I'm going to chat to you privately and put the link in there.
Okay.
And then you can just go from there. It's going to ask you to log in and
Okay.
put in a zip code, and you're going to put in 60619, which I just put in the chat.
Okay.
And that should work. Will you chat back to me and just let me know that you got it up working okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Good luck. Karen, tell me. Oh, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Hi.
There you go.
Okay, so you sent me this thing. It's on, I'm looking at it on my computer.
Yep.
So I'm supposed to click on it and then a list will come up? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So when you click on that link, it's going to ask you to log in. And
Log in. Okay, well, I couldn't get it to do it. Okay, do I have to leave this Zoom?
nope. I
No.
just kind of like close the Zoom and like put it in the background.
Right.
But
But I mean-
that way, if you have questions, you can come back to the chat, or, you know, if you want to.
Okay.
Usually people keep the Zoom open just for questions. But I just kind of minimize.
I'm sorry to be like for some.
Oh my God, that's what I'm here for. It's totally fine. Trust me. I made like 150 calls earlier this afternoon, so I'm like feeling fine. So you're gonna log in and get through the login in. Then it will ask you for the zip code.
So this link you sent me,
Yes.
okay, is going to have say login. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I can't even get back to where you sent it to me.
Do you want me to
Resend it to me here
Of course.
because it's not moving.
Totally fine. I just resent it.
Excuse me, how can I not hear you? I don't know why I'm hearing you.
If you go down to the lower left corner where it says mute, there's a little arrow button that looks like this. And if you press the upside down triangle, there is a leave audio button.
Why am I not seeing this at all?
So down on Zoom in the lower left corner where the mute button is,
Okay,
there's a literally next to the mute button is an upside, like a little triangle, like a little arrow pointing up thing.
okay.
And if you click that, one of the options is to leave computer audio.
I don't, oh, there it was. But why is it? It's saying hide video.
No, not hide video.
I don't get this.
It's okay. In the mute button, do you see the mute button, Paula?
No, okay, yes, I see the mute button.
There's a little like upside down triangle next to the mute button, and one of your choices in there is leave computer audio. It's at the very bottom.
I'm gonna see. I don't know what I'm doing.
Were you able to find it, Paula? Hey, Karen, I'll just call you. I'll call you on your cell phone. How about that?
But I don't know. Remember when you had a oh.
You're in here?
Yeah. See, this is the link. This is my link.
This one?
Yeah, but I can't get it to open. Oh my God.
So are we getting ready to Zoom?
No, it's like she just said to click on that. I guess I don't have to be on Zoom, but that's the link's going to give me the phone calls. So everybody else is making these calls. But remember when you had to switch my
Yeah,
my
I just need
feed
I just need to pull up your.
before to get the Zoom meetings? This woman's
There we
calling
go.
me now.
Okay, here we go.
I copied and pasted that So you could just say paste.
Hi, everyone. It is 10 after 7. We're going to finish up these calls that you're on right now and take a little break. We're going to, if anybody wants to share a story of how their phone banking is going, and maybe we'll share some numbers.
Well, everybody, so we are approaching, we just got over 300 calls so far tonight. So great work. Keep it up. We have a little bit more to go. So keep making those calls.
Thanks, Nick. We're going to keep watching the time. Around 7:15 or so, we're going to have Helen Money perform for us. But in the meantime, if you wrapped up a call, if you would like to share a story, go ahead and unmute yourself. We would love to hear from you. We're going to take a break in a minute, but I would love to have somebody share a phone bank story. Maybe Karen.
Oh, you want me to share a phone bank story? Are we good? Do you want to keep it on gallery right now, or are we?
Yeah, keep it on gallery for a minute.
Oh, my one story from today or yesterday?
Either today or yesterday. I know there's a lot of phone banks happening.
Oh, okay. So I have a story. I I was trying to get the person, and I didn't realize it was voicemail, and it picked up, and it said something really funny, like, I think these campaign rallies he's doing are super spreaders, and and they should go to some other state, not ours. Please leave a message after the beep. And she was good. It was an elderly woman. It's very funny. But yeah, no, that's the story that comes to mind. But I've had some wonderful stories of very wonderful people, and I feel on the spot, so somebody else can go.
Anyone else want to share a story? otherwise, we are going to, I'm really so happy to have Helen Money here, who's going to perform for us. She has a new album out. I will show it to you because I got it right down the street at my local record store. And it has a portrait of her with her cello, if you can see that, a very cool one. And I want you to see this record. Oh, it's beautiful. So I would love to pass the mic to Helen Money. We know her as Allison Chesley. Take it away. think we can unmute ourselves and give her an actual. Thank you so much, Allison. Just want to shout out to all the artists out there. We are going to get through this because of your creativity. I want to shout out to Lori, who's also doing a lot with visual art right now. And we are going to share the photo that we took at the beginning of this call to the Design Your Vote initiative that you did. So thank you, Allison, AKA Helen Money, for keeping it together and helping us get through this with music. And thank you, Lori, for all that you're doing with Design Your Vote.
Can I ask a question? In regards to the calls, so I haven't been getting many people to answer, either disconnected or they're not home. So then I'm calling if it's listed a cell phone, even though the preferred number is not the cell phone. Is that what we're supposed to be doing?
I see that Carrie is on the line right now, but it is the number that's right underneath the name.
Okay, because then if you go to the left of the page, it gives information on the person you're calling, and it says, often it says cell phone. So if they don't answer, because I haven't gotten anybody to answer except 2 people, so then I call the cell phone. So I just wasn't sure if I'm something I'm supposed to be doing or not.
Have you been getting people to answer with the preferred phone?
No, I've actually only gotten 2 people to answer either way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if that was something that Indivisible didn't like to do, because the cell phone is just, an additional phone number listed. The other number is under preferred. So I didn't know if there was, policy and kind of how they did that or not. I did send ask Carrie in the chat, but just haven't heard back yet. So I thought I would ask you.
And maybe Nick, if you are hearing this question, you can address it too.
That's okay. I mean, I can just continue to.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. Thank
Sure.
you for keep on going.
And how long are we going, until when?
We're going until about for another 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
At least.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Take another quick break. I'm really happy to be close to the end of this phone bank, but we do have one more guest to hear from, and that's from Wisconsin Dems, Heba Mohammad. We're going to have Rose speak in a little bit, but I do wanted to point out that we are about 10-15 minutes until the end of this call. So thank you all for being here. And let's keep going. Let's keep this going strong. Thank you, Heba, for joining us. I'm gonna wait for Rose to appear so that we can hear from you. There we go, Rose. Maybe we can hear from Rose or now, and then Heba. Thank you, Heba, for joining us. We're doing a phone bank to our underserved communities right now, and we were so excited to have our Congressperson Jan Schakowsky at the top of the call. Daniel Biss and Jaquie Algee from Women's March. We heard a performance by Helen Money. And now we're going to hand it off to Rose, who's our Indivisible Illinois 2020 coordinator. Rose, take it away.
Thank you, Lenny. I was going to go ahead and introduce Heba and allow her to go first, if that's okay. All right, Heba, I hope you're ready. And thanks for being here. I know you've been very busy making the calls in Wisconsin. So I am proud and honored to have the opportunity to introduce Heba Mohammad to all of you. Heba is the tireless fighter for democracy and leads the way for out-of-state volunteers like us that want to help out in Wisconsin. We have had our neighboring state of Wisconsin on most of these Illinois vote calls that have been going strong for about 8 months or so, because Wisconsin is such an important state to the election of the next president of the United States. Heba and the West Dems have really done an amazing job, and I know they will bring it home. No pressure, Heba. Over to you.
No pressure indeed. Yes, thank you so much. And apologies that I had to step away. My oven alarm was going off, so apologies for that inconvenience. But it's so wonderful to be here with you all. For folks who I haven't met before, my name is Heba Mohammad. I'm the Digital Organizing Director for the Wisconsin Coordinated Campaign. And this is one of the final times that we will be together before Election Day rolls around. It is very exciting that we are getting so close, but there is a lot of work left to be done. In these final 2 weekends, and of course during the week as well, we will be calling voters in Wisconsin essentially all day, every day. There are a lot of folks who still need to go vote. We've had very high return rates on the number of absentee ballots that have been requested, and in-person early voting started this past Tuesday. And we've seen some really positive results there as well, with people showing up and taking advantage of this 2-week window to early vote in person. We are encouraging as many people as possible to do it early so that folks who really do just only have the capability of going on election day or need that additional support on election day can have the space and the added safety to be able to do that for themselves. So the conversations that we're having right now are impacting the outcome of this election. It's not in 12 days, it's right now. And so I'm here today, as I have been every week for the last several weeks, to encourage you to join us for our phone banks. We are really just leaning into it. I will have a link that we can share with you all in the chat and afterwards as well. Just to make sure that you are getting to the right place. Our program works with out-of-state volunteers, and we've been so fortunate that there's been a lot of interest from folks who want to help out in Wisconsin, because as Rose said, the road to the White House really does lead through this state, and the state, in addition to electing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, will determine a lot going forward here as well, including what does what does it look like to end gerrymandering in a state? What does it look like to have that balance restored and to elect candidates who really represent the empathetic values of the Democratic Party? So I'm very excited that we are nearing the end here, because I'm excited that the end will have a lot of really positive elected officials at the finish line. So I guess just keeping it short and sweet today, because there's not much else to be said that hasn't been said already, other than thank you. I know a lot of you have been on this journey with us for months, some of you longer than I have been. Looking at you, Rose, you've been here for much longer, and we really couldn't do it without you. And just always deeply grateful for this partnership, and also preemptively grateful for all the work that we will do in these final 12 days. I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Back to you, Rose.
Thank you, Heba. You are a warrior. I'm so grateful to have met you, and I can't wait to follow your career once we win this thing, right? So I am going to follow Heba's lead and try to keep it as brief as possible because I want to keep Carrie happy. She's probably on call number 200 right now. So let me just tell you who I am. For those of you that don't know, I'm the Indivisible 2020 coordinator. I'm also someone who was born in Roseland Community Hospital. Yes, my name is Rose. My grandma's name is Rose, and we all lived in Roseland. And I can't tell you how honored I have been to call into the community this evening. And I hope all of you continue with these calls, even after this. We've made, I believe, after tonight, we'll have to reassess 4,000 calls. Let's keep it going. All these voices should be heard. So I have been speaking with all of you about voter expansion for, I don't know, again, about 8 months, and election security for 2 years. So let me just try to sum things up for you in a nutshell. Here's what we have to do. Plan your vote. Follow the directions carefully for your mail-in ballot and use the secure drop box. If you have not turned in your mail-in ballot, please do it now. Please do it ASAP. Vote early if you don't plan to vote by mail. I also don't want you to panic. Here's why. And it comes from Michael Waldman, the president of the Brennan Center for Justice, a very well-respected voting rights organization. We actually quoted him when we started down the vote by mail path last March. So it's very appropriate that we quote him here. This is an excerpt from an article that he wrote, and Kelly is going to put the link up there for you in the chat. 6 reasons why not to panic about the election. And it's in Politico. I will highlight these actions, these comments quickly. Number 1, presidents don't run elections, states do. 2, it's really hard to steal an election. 3, even with presidential encouragement, voter intimidation is illegal. That means something. 4, public expectations of how long the vote might take have already shifted. I think all the work we have done is making a difference. 5, the system is more prepared than you might think for challenges to vote counting. And I know that for a fact because we have been talking to those hero election officials. And last but not least, number 6, even the Electoral College has a bit less uncertainty than advertised. My understanding also from the Department of Homeland Security and ISB, the Illinois State Board of Election, is that this misinformation should be our biggest concern. So all of us here, let's fight for the truth. Our job right now is to make sure we all vote and then that our votes are counted. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose, for all your work that you've been doing for these last 4 years. I also wanted to say, Heba, I was just there in Wisconsin on Kamala's birthday to poll observe. And the place that I was at was amazingly run. I mean, the person who was the coordinator for that polling place had been doing this work for 20 years, since she was a 16-year-old in high school. So I want to say hats off to the high schoolers who are stepping up, you know, in Illinois and across the Midwest and Wisconsin this year to do this work, because we know that once you get involved, and if you can get involved at a very young age, then you will continue to be involved, and even more so, like this person who was a coordinator at this place. So thank you for all you're doing, Heba. It's amazing work. We are gonna win this. We know that all these phone calls are making a difference. We're making phone calls locally now, but we are definitely laser focused on Wisconsin because we know we know that we need to win Wisconsin for many different reasons. So thank you for being in this fight with us, and thank you for we have one last virus-free voting next week. Is that right, Heba? Can we count on you to be here? Yes, thank you. All right, Rose, do you have any closing thing to say about Wisconsin or Illinois?
Just how proud I am of everybody. Heba, you, Lori has been running these voter protection hotlines for the last 2 months. So I just want to give accolades to Heba's team as well as the Wisconsin voter protection team. We're going to get out the vote. We're going to make sure every vote is counted, and we're going to coalesce and get it done. We're going to leave it all on the table. We're not going to have any regrets, and we are going to be happy about the results. I'm confident of that.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Heba. We've got 8 more minutes of phone banking. And then we're gonna run over to our debate watch party. We'll put the link in the chat again if you want to join other Indivisibles to watch the debate tonight. Because we know we're gonna learn so much from watching this debate, right? No. But yes, if you can join us, because it will be another time that we could be together. So I look forward to that too. More phone calls. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Heba.
So we end at 8 though, right? Okay.
Lenny, are we all coming back on now?
Yeah, let's give it another. We just heard from the Wisconsin Dems and Rose. So we'll go until 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you, Paula, for joining us. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you, Carrie, for putting together these phone banks. Carrie's on the line right now talking to someone. I actually got a chance to speak to a friend tonight, which was kind of fun. So we chit-chatted a little bit, but that's really how we're going to move this thing, right? By talking to our friends and families and our neighbors. Please, thank you for all your time. You have the link now. We can continue to make calls into Roseland and to other areas. There are 22 underserved communities identified in Chicago. That's identified through the Metropolitan Family Services and Communities Partnering for Peace. So this is the first of many phone banks that we're going to continue to make, because we know that, it's not just about one election. It's about life, and it's about the quality of life, and it's about engaging people in our civic processes. So we know that voting is not enough. That's why we continue to phone bank and stay engaged, right? Because this is the way we have to do it every chance that we get. So I thank you for your time. I thank you, Carrie. Carrie's still talking to somebody right now. She's gonna push it all the way up until 8 o'clock. But we're gonna jump to another Zoom meeting if you want to join us. Kelly is gonna put that that Zoom link in there if you want to join us for the debate watch. And I hope you have a great night. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Facebook. Please do keep in touch with your Indivisible groups in your areas or your grassroots groups in your neighborhoods, because building community starts at home, and it starts in our own backyard. So goodbye, everyone, and thank you all. And we're going to end the live stream now.